Hello, my name is Ethereal, and today I'm going to give you my list for my Daihouzan deck. I think this deck has been featured by WCC in two of their episodes. I don't know which episode. My friend just suddenly told me that your deck it's here, and I was like, oh nice. But yeah, I don't really care back then, but I wish I cared back then. But yeah, this is I'm going to show you my deck right now. So I'm starting with Gree 3s. I have 4 Daihouzan, duh. I have 2 Tribash and I have a chicken, Cocos Igaras. So I'm going to start with Daihouzan first. This is the best. In my opinion, um, the only way that, well, it's not the only way, but it is one of the quote unquote more powerful cards in premium Pornogatama just because of just one skill. It's not a good skill in my opinion since it's not the band card good, but it's up there maybe. So yeah, the first skill is Hot on Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, counterblast one, Soul Blast one. And then you choose one of your opponent's guards. They bounce it back to hand, and this unit gains 5,000 power in a drive. And then, if their Vanguard is grade 3 or greater and they have one or less regard, this unit gains 10,000 power and a crit. So, this is right off the bat a 17,000 power triple drive attacker. If they give you damage in premium, you're fighting. If you they know they're fighting against Nubatama, they either wouldn't give you damage or they're gonna rush the fuck out of you. And most likely, and most of the people that I fought, they're gonna do the second one, which is rush the fuck out of you. So yeah, it's really uh, you're gonna have a triple drive anger. That's the good part. The second part, the greater greater thing, that's mostly useless unless you go into Drachma and they're still alive. Which congratulations. How the hell are they alive? So yeah, the second skill. It's where the deck, no, this card is quote unquote good. I don't want to say it's the best. I don't want to say it's really good. I just want to say it's better than average. So the skill is Auto Fanga Circle. During your opponent's turn, when they would call a normal unit, if their hand is 4 or more, they discard one. Very powerful. So if they call normal unit, they discard one. If they call normal unit, they discard one. And since it says normal unit, not normal call, even with a superior calling, they're still gonna discard one. So if they are not careful, they most likely gonna be at 3 cards, which is slightly less than Yamio Congo. Yamio Congo has a 4 cards hand limit. This card has 3, but it's not gonna happen most likely unless at least at the end of the turn, because Jagomes always remember at the end of the turn Daihouzan is not. So yeah, it's one of it's do nothing get advantage kind of thing, which is why I use it. So, the second card is 2 Tribash. So Tribash is 13k. Daihouzan is 12k. Tribash is 13k because he's a deer card. It's a persona, right? Duh. And it has only one skill. The one skill is very nice, which is when your finger attacks, if their opponent has 2 or less regards, put this unit into the soul, and then this unit gains a crit. This is the card that makes Jamio Congo not just annoying, Jamio Congo fast. This is why they outright ban Jamio Congo, in my opinion. Jamio Congo should have been banned without this card, but with this card, it gives more incentive to ban Jamio Congo because, oh look, turn 3 and I already have grade 3 in Soul. Yeah, this is very powerful with Jamio Congo. And I guess the new grade 1 is very powerful because I think it's like Ugen or something. The one that you put the boosted unit into the soul. So you boost the grade 3, put to soul, but that's for another format. So yeah, this is gonna be more powerful cards. Give you a crit too, which is nice. Yeah, it gives you a soul, give you a crit, and everyone's happy. Not for the opponent, but for you. And for us, no bottom players, it's fine. And the third card, the last grade 3 is the chicken, Kokoshigas. It only has it's an 11k, so if you write this, you're cocked. If you write Trapish, you still have 13k. If you write Daihouzan, it's the best thing that you could have ever done. So yeah, it's the chicken. If you write the chicken, might as well scoop. So the autonomy is one skill. How to act. Vanguard trigger circle. Soul Blast 3 and discard 2 sentinels. So during until the end of turn, this unit gains 15,000 power. Then your opponent, if your opponent's greedy or greater, opponent Vanguard is greedy or greater, uh, you bounce all of your opponent's trigger back to hand. If they bounce one or if they bounce one or more, they discard 5. So it's completely useless in the Vanguard circle, in my opinion. Yes, it gives 15k, but it's an 11k, which means you get beaten up by literally almost everything else. Because getting 1k isn't that hard in this game. And yeah, in my opinion, it's just attack card. The best scenario, if you play this card, is they have one regard, you bounce it back. They have only 4 hand and they discard everything. But at that point, you should have win because of the 4 of that you're playing in the G zone. So yeah, this is Greek freeze. They don't. Yeah, I'm only running 7 grade 3s because your good stuff, most of the good stuff are grade 1s and grade 2s. So yeah, for the grade 2s, we have 3 Mangatsugeyo, a playset of Yamishibuki, 2 Ongai, and 3 Tanyas. Okay, this is going to be a lot. So I'm going to start with the 2 Ongai first because it's the easiest thing. It's a 9k Jira card, 5k shield. The first skill is when you're auto on Liga Circle, when your dominated unit attack hits, you may pay the cost, which is discard 1. If you do, you draw 1, and then you cannot use this skill until the end of turn. Basically, it's just like a once per turn thing. Because since this is one of the older cards and don't have the OPT next to the auto. So yeah, yeah, the first skill is useless, by the way. You only use it for the second skill, which is the good part of the card. This is where you run it. It's also an auto. It's a when placed. It's GB1 and for a really good reason. When this unit is placed, you choose 2 of your rearguards. Then you choose one of your opponent's units. They all become 11,000 power delay after. So this is basically saying like all of my attacks hits at least goes for magic numbers. So yeah, it's just really nice. It makes things that shouldn't hit. And since you can call it on the on the battle phase, you can reset their power, their mega power. I got 2 times several scenarios where they got an over trigger. I reset them with this, and they just go because well, you got an over trigger, you expect them to do nothing, and then suddenly you call Ungai and and your 100 million power Vanguard becomes an 11,000 power Vanguard. It's fun. This is also why you run it as a 2-off. It's only attacks on Rega Circle and you only use it like once or twice per turn. And even then, if you call it on the battle phase, you bounce it back to hand before you call it in the battle phase. So yeah, it's a very nice card. It's a very powerful card. So so yeah, this is the Triumph, which is Magatsu Gale. Magatsu Gale has 2 skills. The first skill is Fang on one place, Fang got trigger circle, counter plus 1, soul plus 1, draw a card, and this unit gains 6,000 power. just plus, this screams plus, and it becomes a 15k, so you hit 10k plus they need to add another 5k. So if they're at grade 2, if they're at grade 2 and they're a 10k Vanguard, they need to put 10,000 power, 10,000 shield, sorry, to the Guardian Circle, which is nice. There's a second skill, which is Auto on Rega Circle. At the about this unit attacked, put this unit into a soul, and then choose one of your regards goes back into your hand. So you reset one of your, so you're basically saving one of your regards, and you can use reuse main place the Yada. It's a really nice card. I run it as a 3 of. Some people run non. Some people only run. Some people run it as a 4 of, but for me 3 is the magic number because I run a lot of quote unquote tag cards that are slightly more important than running 4 of Magatsugi. So yeah, because and most of the time you don't even riding Magatsugi, which is why I run as a 3 of. So yeah, that's Magatsugi. Please set up your Michibuki. In my opinion, the best grade 2 next to Magatsugi. So it has two skills. The first skill is Count on Trigger Circle. For each during your turn, if you have for each grade 0 you have, this unit gains 5,000 power. So, and with this deck, you call off evil decoy tokens. Evil decoy tokens are grade zeros. And if you use the second skill, it at least is a 19,000 power all by its own. And I'm going to explain you the second skill, which is Auto Fang Auto Rigger Circle. When this unit attacks, counterblast one, and then choose one of your regards, bounce it back to hand. You call two evil decoy token. So like I say, if this is on the Rega circle, it's an auto 19k. If this is on the Fanga circle, it's still a 9k. The first skill doesn't go off. There's a good reason you play this as a 4 of. Counterblast is not a problem. I will explain to you why it's not a problem, because one of a very specific countercharger that this deck have, well, this clan have, which is a very powerful countercharger, which is also sometimes a double-edged sword. So yeah, it's Yami Shibuki. It's a 4 of. Last one, Tanya. I runs it as a 3 of. You use it for the first skill and nothing else. Also, it's a 10k base. Since all of your grade 2s, other grade 2s are 9k, which is very nice if you going first and your opponent is an Axel or a Protect that cannot gain like intrinsic 1k or something. So you will always be 1k above, which is one of the reasons why Force is slightly better at surviving. So yeah, the first skill is Auto. When this unit is placed on the Riga circle, counterblast one, call a grade 0 from drop. This is very good. Because remember you can bounce all of your unit some of your units back to hand or all, and there are some grid zeros that you actually want to bounce it back to hand because those grid zeros are of key to what you want to do. Either you can bounce a heal trigger for that G guard that you need, if you really need it. You can get bounce one of the crit strides if you have nothing else to stride. Um, you can bounce the crit soul from premium collection, or not even bounce. You can just place it and then use the skill. So it's basically a counterblast one, soul charge one, and draw a card your finger gains 10k. So yeah, and you can bounce a PG, which is very powerful. That's one of the reasons why you run this as a 3 off, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, the second skill is not as useful, but it's sometimes useful if you have access all, which is a lot of the times with the great ones that I'm going to show you, you don't. So when this unit attacks, all blast one, choose one of your grade 0 regards and it gains 5k. Yeah, it's a nice boost. You don't really need it. So yeah, you have way better things for that soul. Yeah, you don't really use second skill too much. So yeah, this is the grid tools. I run a total of 12 grade 2s. It's not much compared to some other decks. Or actually, it's a lot. I don't know. Yeah, this is. Oh yeah, this is also the grade one. I run 4 Sakura Fubuki, 4 Katrigets, and 2 Gyokusen, and then 2 Honoris. I'm going to start with Honoli first because it's the easiest thing to explain. So only pretty much one of the counters to multi-attacking. So the first skill is for all regards. If it when a regards attack a vanguard, if it's the fifth battle or more, they must counterblast one if they want to attack, and then it has a reminder text. This is mandatory. You must pay the cost before attacking or when attacking. So if you cannot pay the counterblast one, that unit that triggered, which is attacking the vanguard, and the battle that is fifth or more during that turn, it will not happen. You still stand the vanguard. You still stand that trigger unless counterblast one is paid. So yeah, um, one of the an annoying card for those Victor players, Aqua Force players, Gold Paladin players. Just a way to try to slow them down because you like to play a bit slower with this deck. So yeah, it's a really good grade one, but there's a downside because of the second skill, where auto when this unit is placed on the Rega circle, you choose one of your face down cards in your damage zone and turn it face down. So basically a counterblast one, but it doesn't say you need to pay you need to flip face you need to flip one face down. So if you have none, you just place on only for free, which is nice. Yeah, this is the only. I'm going to go for the grade 3 searcher. Um, the grade 3 searcher is Katarigate Snake for this deck. I'm going to explain the 5k skill first, continuous on Riga Circle. If you have a token unit, this unit gains 5k. I still don't know why they wouldn't place it Vanguard Riga Circle because there are multiple ways to get a grade 1 to get tokens during your grade 1. I don't know why. Yeah, so I still don't know why they wouldn't do that because here's the thing. Not all grade 3 searchers, the plus 5k one are created equally. By I mean that I mean the trigger, the plus power thing. So one of the clans that doesn't have the 5k on Vanguard trigger circle is Arashi. And Arashid's skill is when a regard is stand by a card effect, I think it gets a 5k. That is still understandable, but still, I don't know why they wouldn't just slap Vanguard trigger circle on it. Just in my opinion, you can just copy paste it slightly faster, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm not gonna judge them. The second skill is auto Vanguard trigger circle. You check top 5 for grade 3. This is why the grade 3 is urgent. So you check top 5 for your deck. You choose up to one grade 3. You reveal it. You put it into the hand. You discard one card of your hand if you take a card, and then you shuffle your deck. It's the basically all grade 3 searcher skill. Yeah. It's you run this as a 4 of. In my opinion, you don't use Ugin, the new card from DVS04. I don't have it yet. I'm going to get it in like 3 days, maybe. I'm going to try it out. If it works, it works, but most likely, in my opinion, it won't work because you want actual grade 3 searchers because you actually actively trying to get grade 3s into your hand even after your initial ride phase after initially riding a grade 3 because protect marker good and tie bash good. Also Kokushigarasu is funny. Okay, You use Kokushigarasu because it's not good, because it's funny. So yeah, that's a grade 3 searcher. And then we go to one of the more better grade ones in Nubatama, Sakura Fubuki. It only has one skill, and it's a really good skill. That's why we run it as a 4 off. It's also one of the only things that counter charges without counter blasting. So it only, like I say, it only has one skill. When play out on Mega Circle, when placed, if you have three or more rear guard, three or more units, discard a card and this unit gains 3000 power. Then, if you have one or less face-up card in your damage zone, draw one, counter charge one. So you basically use this. You have one or less face-up card in damage zone. You place this thing plus 3k, 11k. It's an 11k. Remember, you have Ungai, which is 20, which makes your opponent and you most likely choose your opponent's Vanguard. They'll become 11k. This thing can hit for free, basically, and then you counter charge one, you draw one. This is cycles through your deck for things that you need and to things that you do not want to get out of your deck. But it's Vanguard. And Vanguard is fair and balanced. So yeah, it's a counter charger for this deck. And if you haven't recognized it already, we haven't gone through all of the cards yet in our deck, and there's already a lot of cards that counterblast. Hell, we don't even haven't started with the numerous cards in your G zone, which is, like I say, one of the reasons we run it as a one-off, and one of the reasons that I'm glad that they put this in Nubatama and not other clans. So yeah, it's Sakura Fuki. And for you English players, I'm sorry, but for you, this is most likely the more stupid cards that I have ever seen. And for you Japanese players, including me, well, get them fast because I see them getting sold out everywhere because of two skills that is very nice. The first skill is auto on drop zone. If you when your grade 3 Vanguard is placed during the turn counter plus 1, you either put this unit put this card to your hand or put a grade 3 in your soul to your hand. Then if you put a grade 3 from your soul, if you put card from your soul into your hand, you bind this unit. So um it's just a way. If you have three counterblast for some reason, I know it's not hard to get three face up counterblast in some scenarios, but for some reason you have like a Daihouzan in hand, you have a Daihouzan of Vanguard. You like Daihouzan, use this thing on the drop zone counterblast one, pull a Daihouzan back to hand from your soul, bind this card, and then you drama or you Gilga. Yeah, it's a really nice card. Or if you only have one of these cards in your drop zone and you really need it and you have nothing else, which I say, which the second skill make this card even better. You put this card into your hand. Hey, that's a +1 for a counter blast, and especially for a specific card like this, which is the second skill, is a very nice. The second skill is auto on the when this unit is put into your hand from the Riga circle. So +1, you call two evil decoy tokens. This makes the deck. This makes the card good. This basically screams, I don't need two counterblasts anymore for to wait for an overtrigger. Basically, what I mean is that if you get Jakumeso, which one of the Greek fours that we are playing, one of the strides that we are playing, you don't need to pay two counterblasts, or you most likely two counterblasts. You most likely gonna pay only one counterblast and one soul blast for the two skills that the two skill when attack skills that you're going to use, which is very helpful. So you don't waste a Sakura Fubuki, you don't even waste anything. It's a basically just a really nice card. This is a really nice card. If I can run more than two, I would, but I can't because 50 card deck. Boo. So that's a great one. I'm running 12 great ones. Wow, how original. So on to the grade zeros now, and I'm going to start with the normal unit grade zeros. We have Hagakure. It only has it's a 4K with zero shield. You might be wondering why if you're not a Nubatama player, you might be wondering why the fuck would I use this? Well, it's because of the skill, uh, auto, Legal Circle, and Guardian Circle. When this unit is placed, you choose one of your unit, it copies the power and shield of that unit until the end of turn. So basically, this screams either 27k, 37k, or more than 15k shield, because that's what most likely you're gonna use then. You place this thing, you're way safe because you have this kind of Giga. It's if you can meet the full requirement, it's a 30k Giga. Place this, place this, nice. I have 60k Giga from one heal and one card from and this dumb grade zero of your hand. Or if they did not discard from Jakishime, that's 35k. Place this thing, that's a 70k shield. Wow. That's why making this deck very powerful. And also remember the grade 2 they calls a grade 0 from drop zone. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why you play this as one of the reasons why you play Tanya, because of this thing, because God knows this thing is good. And also your starter, uh, Madoi. I chose for the SP version because I have it. So that's the grade zeros in this deck. It is a grade zero normal unit. Now we're going to our trigger units. 4 great stride voters, 4 soul crit from the premium collection, 3 soul crit from the premium collection, 1 resource heal, 3 grade 3 heals or heal guardians, stupid name, 4 PGs and an over trigger, Trigger Empire. I'm going to start with the crit first because it's the easiest thing to explain in the whole live world. It's a strider. There's a reason on why you run this. It's a crit, and it's a strider. Why wouldn't you run it as a 4 off? Come on. The soul crit, second one because it's easy to explain. Um, get you a draw, gives you soul, gives your Vanguard 10k until the end of battle. Very nice card. Remember, you can call it from that grade 2 again, which is grade 2 Tanya again. Very nice card, very powerful card. Gives you a soul, and some of the cards in this deck eat soul. So, yeah, that's why. And it's also a crit, which is nice. And then PG. Oh boy, PG. For grade 0, no. Draw triggers. Uh, just a very nice card, very powerful card. You just and also did I have I ever mentioned that you usually have more than 12 cards in your hand? No. Well, there you go. This deck gains a lot of cards. You stack your hand fat, at least like 15 on your first grade 3 turn, and if they did a subpar second stride or subpar stride when you go to Jakumeso, you're gonna have more than 15 cards guaranteed. Why? Because here's the thing. This is why one of the reasons why I chose Daihouzan instead of Shiranui or Magatsu Storm, because they need to actually think before what they want to do. It just puts them more on stress to them. And in my opinion, we are Nobatama players. If we put stress on the opponent, even if you lost that game, it's still a win for us because the only reason on why we exist to make people stress out. That's the only reason on why uh, we exist. Yeah. Also, like I say, all of these grade zeros can be called using Tanya, bounce it back to hand. So yeah, it's a very powerful card. Okay, over trigger. Dumb card, don't know why they print it, but I'm glad they print this because I can do stupid things like using Giacomesso skill twice and getting 50 cards in your hand on the first Griffey turn, on the first ride. So, it's a 50k shield. Also, Hagakure, remember, call over trigger, call this thing. Oh, look, 100k shield. Where did they come from? I don't know. So yeah, when the checks stand of anger, basically Dragonic Overlord. Dragonic Overlord the trigger. It's where the joke came from. Yeah, mix all decks like, oh, if you check this, you're most likely not gonna survive the next turn that they going to pound out. So yeah, just +3. Not only that, if you with Jakumeko, that's not a +3, that's another +5. One of the reasons why Jakumeso is a nice card. And also, it's a very abusable. I did it with Magatsu Reverse, with Magatsu Storm. Calling Magatsu Storm Reverse. Remember, Magatsu Storm Reverse gains 2 drive checks. If you counterblast one, discard 2 cards. You get this thing, you restand Vanguard back. Congratulations, you're doing it all over again, baby. Ooh. So yeah, the over trigger. Dumb, fun. Well, it's not fun if your opponent checks it, but I don't care. Remember, Nubatama players. Um, okay, now for the heals. The heal resource. I run this as a one-off because it's a grade zero. That's it. You want to run the 20k, the vanilla one? Go ahead. For me, it's not really worth it. Two reasons why. One, I need the counter charge for reasons. Yeah, for reasons. The second one is you're running three of the other heals, which you can't really do anything after you spend them. So yeah. Also, this thing binds itself, which yeah, this also gives it a bit of a flexibility. Either you want to get more resource, or you can call it back to the Riga circle and put it back to hand, which is nice. The new heals, the newest heal. I don't know how to say that. It's the fucking great free heal guardians. 15k shield. Uh, Understandable because if they make it 20k shield, people will just not use the 20k shields and just move to this thing. Because you're a new Watama player. Yeah. So the first skill is when placed on Guardian Circle. If you have no draw the grade 3 this turn. If you no, not have grade, if you have not draw the grade 3 in this fight, you choose one of the following, either 10k to one of your units, or no, to one of your vanguards, or -2 crits until the end of battle for your one of your opponent's attacking units. Um, it's a survive more thing before you get completely rushed by your opponent. This deck likes for people to get to rush you. One of the reasons why Nobatama doesn't really like playing premium, and why I say if you win, nice. If you lose, and it's not your important thing to win with this deck. It's just to make your opponent stress out. One of the reasons why is that you cannot survive the early turn unless you write a specific grade 2, which is the 4 of Yamishibuki. And even then, if they didn't give you a counterblast, you're fucked either way. So yeah, this is why you run it as a 3 off, because if you run it as a 4 off, you can use a grade 0 heal. A grade 0 heal is a very flexible card in this deck. And the second skill, not as useful, but it's very useful in a lot of scenarios. Not a lot, but enough scenarios. So when when this unit is placed on the Riga circle, if you have 0 cards in your damage zone, you put the top card in your deck face up into your damage zone. It enables you to do a lot of your stuff. That's it. It just enables you to do a lot of your stuff without having the without doing a lot of things, i.e. Take a damage. Yeah, and the downside of this effect is you're not taking a damage check. So yeah, if you trying to survive for a bit, make your opponent cry, because, well, not make your opponent cry, but make your opponent slightly frustrated. You use this card. If you wanna survive more, use this card. If they damage denying you, which is Y against Sunubatama, especially Daihouzan, you play this card. So yeah, um, that's the heal triggers. Also, this is a grade 3, so you cannot call it with Tanya. I've seen some people who try to call it with Tanya. It doesn't work like that, though it's searchable from a grade 3 server. And one of the reasons why you run this is if you're running Ugin, you can search for this card because technically this is a grade 3 unit. Um, so yeah, you put a heal trigger in your hand and you bottom deck one. So yeah, this is one of the a lot of reasons why you run new heal guardians. So yeah, that is the triggers. Now we are going to the G zone. Out of all things, yay G zone, and I'm running a lot of one-offs because this is the G zone. You don't get much penalty of running as a one-off. Two Giacomeso, one uh, Urakan or Geurakan. I forgot the name. Dagoku, Mujin Lord, Gilgal, no progenitor, Rini 4, Mukuro 1, Drachma. I'm going to start with these first. Strides. I'm going to explain um, the more what is it called? Simple ones. Yakume, so your first stride and most likely your second stride. Um, so it has only one skill. When this attacks, you retire two green zeros and then you flip a card in your G-Zone face up. You draw two cards, you bounce all of your recards back to hand, and then you call up to two cards from your hand. If you call two, this unit gains 10 kind of crit until the end of turn. Keyword until the end of turn. Remember the thing that I said about over trigger? You can send this thing, it still gains the crit and the power. So yeah, it's a very nice card. And the second thing is that just requires you to retire two grey zeros, and with this deck, retiring two grey zeros is not a hard thing. If you have one counterblast and some cards. So yeah, Yakumeso, your first and maybe second strike, most likely your second strike. If you don't go to Rine, which is I'll explain later. You have Dagoku, a really funny stride. It only has one skill again, so it's in once per turn. Counterblast one, flip a card in your G zone face up. Your opponent chooses two cards in their G zone with power, so they cannot just call G Guardian to their Riga circles, and then you dominate them. You attack them with your to their Vanguard. Here's the thing: you can use their auto skills as if they were on Vanguard circle. So funny thing, this card, um, you can like I say, like the card say, you can use auto Vanguard circle auto skills of that unit. Nice. That's one of the only thing I can say. Just nice. Gives you sometimes you playing DI, you need soul. If they call the grade 4 Thunderblast one flavor card, put soul is one of the reasons you run this is when you need GB for some reason. And if you haven't seen this, uh, roster, you might realize that I'm not using GBA because, in my opinion, as good as a card that GBA is, it's not mandatory. You just tag. In my opinion, no Bataba GBA is not a finish. It is a finisher, but you have way funnier finishers, and if you can achieve those funny finisher, it's a win. In my opinion. So yeah, Nagoku. The very nice card flips you G zone if you're running GB8, which this deck doesn't. Gives you advantage for some reason. Well, yeah, you have Georagan. No, something something Rakan. So the skill is when this unit is placed on a vanguard circle, your opponent chooses two rear guards, and they bounce all of the rear guards that are not chosen back to their hand. And then if they bind, no, not bound, sorry, bind them face up. So yeah, they choose two of their rear guards, and the other ones that are not chosen, they are bind face up. It's a really nice thing, board wipes. But the second skill is the second part of the skill is where things get interesting. If they bind three or more, they choose two cards in their bind zone and they put it into the drop zone. Um, because here's the thing, uh, the card says that at the end of the turn, put the bind card with this skill back to their hand. The thing is, the cards that are put back into their hand are the ones where that is still in the bind zone. If they're in the drop zone, you can't get them anymore, which is neat. Uh, and also it says choose, and then it also say in the bind part is the one that are not chosen. So sweeper, if your opponent playing anger blazer for some reason sweeper will be immediately got rid of. Also if they don't have Yggdrasil as their Vanguard, Regalia will just fucked up. Regalia player will just fuck up their board because they can't choose anything. They bind all of their regards face up. Like I say, if they don't have a Yggdrasil Vanguard. So yeah, it's a very nice thing to have. Since I know a person in my local started using Minerva, so I run this as a one-off. Then Mukuro. Oh boy, Mukuro. A really funny card. Uh, especially if you can get like one of the things that I'm going to explain to you later. So it only has one skill, an act, once per turn, GB2, keyword GB2. Soul Blast 2, and then discard, flip a card in your G zone face up, and then discard one. You dominate your opponent's Vanguard, and then your opponent, and then the dominated unit attacks all of their regards. You still do the drive check. If they have twin drive, you do twin drive. If they have triple drive, you do triple drive. The keyword here is the hidden things that people don't know. One of the things that Mukuro has is this is a permanent board wipe. And not I mean a permanent board wipe. I mean something that your opponent can't do anything about it, because literally the ruling states that if they're dominated, if their vanguard's dominated, they cannot jigger. They don't have a grade 3 vanguard. They can't normal call. Yeah, they can't normal call, which is reasons why they don't have a vanguard. If they don't have a vanguard, which technically this is, they cannot call, which is understandable because they don't have a vanguard. So yeah, this instantly wipes their board. Or alternatively, if you leave one standing, by mean that I mean if your opponent have somehow a unit, a rigger that has bigger power than a vanguard, and you check an over trigger, this over trigger, no, sorry, not that over trigger, this over trigger. You stand your opponent's vanguards back and you attack it again. So you're not getting two cards or three cards, you're getting four cards or six cards. Funny, I know. Some of the things that people don't know. So yeah, Mukuro. It's a very powerful, nice card. Then we go to Gilgal. Um, it has some skills. As a progenitor, you can flip this card by card effects, and if you have this face up, strikes are free. Very nice, very powerful. Not too powerful, but it's very powerful. The thing that you use this skill is for the second. The thing that you use this thing for is for the second skill, which is an act on Fanga Circle. It's not once per turn. This is very. I need to state this. This is not once per turn. Counter blast to soul blast one. Until the end of turn, when this unit will attack, this unit attacks all of your opponent's units. Then this unit gains 10,000 power. Then this unit gains the skill Auto on Vanguard Circle. When the attack hits, counter charge 1. Until the end of turn. Um, this is not once per turn, like I say. So if you use somehow, if you have the economy to use this skill twice, it's very funny. Is it economical? Fuck no. You use the skill twice, but is it funny? Yes. Um, It also board wipes, pseudo board wipes, because a 37k attack Vanguard attacks, it's very powerful, and not a lot of regards can get to that much during your opponent's turn. So yeah, they need to either waste a lot of resources, they need to use Dismal, or they don't. They just let it happen. So yeah, also the counter charge thing. It doesn't say once per turn, and it also says at the end of battle that it attack hits. It just says when the attack hits, you counter charge one. So when the attack hits, you immediately counter charge. And for this kind of wording, you counter charge for each attack that it hits. So let's say they have 5 regards and 1 vanguard. If 4 of the regards hit and they guard one of the regards and guard one of the vanguard, you counter charge 4. Yeah, very powerful. Then you have Rename. My God, Rename. I don't know why they printed this, but I understand that Nubatama isn't really strong back then, in my opinion. It has one skill, two skills actually. The first skill is Dominate keyword. Uh, Act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. Counterblast one, flip a card in your G zone with the same card name as this unit face up. Your opponent calls 2 cards from their hand to the Riga circle. They gain 5,000 power and they are dominated. And then they attack the Vanguard in any order that the Dominator wants. And your opponent cannot use auto skills for this unit, for this on call. So it just get raised 2 cards from their hand. Nice. Very powerful. And also the second skill makes the card even better, which is continuous on Vanguard Circle GB3. All of your dominated unit gains 10,000 power in a crit. So if you have GB3, they are not X plus 5k, they are X plus 15k and a crit. So if they call 2 triggers, which they most likely will, because dominated units, you can use the abilities of those dominated units. They call most likely these kind of crits the 4k ones. They are 19k with 2 crits. Powerful, nice, very welcome in this deck. There's a good reason why Jamyoko is restricted with this card, because there are 4 cards that's instant death for your opponent. So yeah, the last card, the last stride, more specifically, it's Drachma. Um, there are several reasons on why Drachma. First of all, it's zero dragon, so automatically you are plus 10 to your bling bling, also minus 10,000 to your wallet. Uh-huh. So yeah, your wallet's gonna be tanked when you buy one of these, especially if you play on the Japanese side, because no reprints. Sad. It has so as an ultimate strike, uh, when this unit is put into the G zone after striding, your G zone just perishes. Ooh, to the Shadow Realm they go. And he has one skill, Counterblast 2. For the cost, when using this place on the finger circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, Europe, your opponent, so you retire, then bind all of your opponent's units, including the Vanguard. That's the most important part, including the Vanguard. So yeah, you not only board wipe them, you get rid of their Vanguard. And then the second part of the skill is your opponent chooses three cards in their hand. Then they choose two of them to discard, and then one of them to ride. As to the finger circle as time. Keyword: you discard first, then you ride. If they have two cards in hand, they discard two. They do not ride from hand because of the wording. Technically, the discard goes first, which is why like discard is used back then with Jamil Congo. One of the reasons why you use this with Jamil Congo, because there are four cards in hand. They hand suddenly go to one, and then you beat the shit out of them unless they get an over trigger. I once felt that pain. It was unbearable. So yeah, it's the finisher of this deck. One of the many finishers of this deck. Also, if you write this thing and then you haven't killed your opponent, you're most likely dead. Also, you can replace this with a GB8 if you're either broke or you have a or you don't want to use drama. So that's the strides. I have 5G guards. I'm running 11 right now. I have 5G guards. 2 Gehorakan, 2 Gandokurakan, and 1 Jakishime. I'm starting with the Jakishime first. The auto on GB, it's auto on GB, auto GB1, and then when this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle, you may pay the cost. The cost is flip a G Guardian in your G zone face up. Your opponent either discards or this unit gains 20k shield. So if they have no cards in hand, this is an automatic 35k to the shield. And seriously, this also makes your opponent think of what they most likely gonna discard for this, because 20k shield is not a joke. So yeah, this is one of the reasons why you run this as a one off. You can run this as a two off, but I don't really recommend it. I'm running two Gandokrakan. This is the one where you when placed on Vanguard one placed on Guardian Circle, you may pay the cost, counter blast one, soul blast one. You choose one of your great one regards on the back row, you dominate it, and then you move it to the Guardian Circle. So yeah, it removes one of your key cards, like if they're playing Messiah, you dominate that great one, and then they, since they can't really call anything at the battle phase, if I'm not mistaken, they they can't really get another extra attack in, or two more attacks because it's Messiah. So yeah, it's a very powerful card. Then we have Gando Korkan. It only when placed on Guardian Circle. If your opponent's hand is 3 or more, this unit gains 5000 shield. Then, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, this unit gains a 10,000 shield. So if they have 3 cards in 3 until 5, this is a 20k shield. If they have 6 or more, this is a plus 15k shield. So basically either a 15, 20, or 30 shield. Very powerful, very nice. That is the G Guardians. And I'm going to explain to you the things that you can run in this deck, that make, depending on what you run, on what you're facing a lot of the times. One of the most important things when you're facing a lot of pale moon, more specifically, you run Dismal. I cannot stress how much you run one, at least one Dismal. If you can run two, even better. Back then, when there's a certain premium player, who is a Pale Moon player, he plays a lot of Nightmare Tolls in premium. I run this as a two of just because I run this as a two of. I have Honolly, remember, in this deck. So running this as a two off gives you two turns where they need to think of their counter blast. So yeah, it's a very nice card to have. Best harvest. Oh my god, this thing is so funny when in paired with Mukuro. My god. Remember when I say that Mukuro they can't do literally anything against a Mukuro. This is the reason one of the funny cards that you can pair. Use this thing first, you Mukuro, and then you ward wipe them depending on the how many attack hits and retire. You draw one for each. So let's say they have 7 regards. All of them hits. All of them goes to drop zone. You draw 7 cards. It is funny card. So it's also grade 3. You can search it out. So yeah, it's a plus. If it's a grade 3, it's also a downside. It's a grade 3. It's a downside that it's a that's an order card. I mean, the grade 3 you can just discard this. So yeah, very nice, very powerful. Instead of running 2 Honolis, you can run either one more Tanya and one more Hagakure. This is a very aggro kind of deck. If you're running instead of running Honoli, you run these two. Another of the extra of these, because you can pump a lot more power in a short time because you're running more of those things. So that means you run more. So it means you get a chance to find them slightly better. So yeah. Or if you don't have the promo card, which is this thing, which is for you English players, is what I mean. You can run Kurogiri, or you can run Kokushi Garasu. These two serve same purpose, gives you 2 token units, but at a different time. So the one that I just show you, the one that is a promo, when this card is back onto hand, which means you can use it when you use Jakumetsu skill. With these two, you need to use it before the Jakumetsu skill because these two is an act skill. Both of them have Riga circles. Basically, this one is retired itself called 2, and then this one is Soul Blast to put this card back to hand, and then you call 2. Both of them has their upsides, both of them has also their downsides. So use them wisely, in my opinion. And one more tribash. It's the thing, the chicken, which is Kokoshigaras. Um, it's not reliable. So if you wanna not run it, I highly suggest that you run 3 tribash because it's a 13k base. It's a very powerful card. It gives you a crit, and also it's a grade 3, so you can search it out and you can discard it as a stride fodder. I see a lot of people that doesn't use the chicken for very good reasons. That's one of the reasons why. So yeah. Well, that's an hour now. What it feels like an hour on my recording. It's an hour. So yeah. This is my deck, Daihouzan deck. Uh, um, I will, like I said, I will be getting Magatsu reverse in like couple of days, 3 days. So maybe I'll put another video on Magatsu Storm V Premium, and funnily enough, I have an idea for Jamio Congo V Premium because of a certain great one that they pump out. So yeah. Well, this is the deck. I hope you like it. If you don't like it, well, you don't like it. So yeah, yeah. May this video help you with your deck building? I was on deck building. It's not a guide, bro. It's my deck. Is this deck good? Maybe. Is this deck fun for me and for the one that's gonna be annoying as fuck? Is this deck stressful to play? Yes. A lot of people don't know that Nubataman like doesn't have superior calling from the deck, so anything that you need to call must be from hand, which is painful. So yeah, the deck has flaws. Absolutely, it's Nubatama for God's sake. Is the flaws circumvented in some ways? Yes. Uh, yeah, this is the Nubatama deck, Daihouzan, for example. In the old man, as I usually say, and yeah, it's ethereal. If you like the video, I'm gonna say like. If you wanna subscribe, subscribe. If you don't like it, dislike. But yeah, I will be going out. Yeah, goodbye.